Good morning. Just trying to see if y'all are paying attention out there. Not really sure what happened, but I will say this has been an NTI learning experience for everyone, including those of us who are learning how to be YouTube live streamer broadcasters. So again, not totally sure what happened, but we do have a new link now. So if you guys could grab that link, I'm going to literally grab it right now. And let's see, I'm going to drop it in some chats. If you are on the Twitter or Facebook, help out your friends, give them the new link. They should get a notification that our channel is live and a new stream, so hopefully that will help out because, I don't know, we've got 14 live viewers now. So anyway, like I said, we're just trying to make sure everybody is awake, has their coffee, and paying attention this morning. So happy Friday, Nelson County. All right, I'm going to toss it back over to Chase.
All right. The choice of technology, because that's our theme this morning too. Is what we're talking about. Is that's one of the blog posts that I posted. The article that I posted was from Edutopia, and it's really about using technology in schools, which is a pretty relevant topic. And here we are trying to get this figured out this morning, but it'll all be okay. So, all right. So, obviously NTI has been a chance for us to really think about technology and how we leverage technology. And, we are still trying to think through, like, what does that even mean for us in Nelson County, right? We have Chromebooks, but what does that look like to really engage kids? So I want to take a little bit of time to just open up to you guys and talk a little bit about some of the things that you've seen either through NTI or maybe even before NTI, where we've really been leveraging technology in the classroom in some really cool ways. So we'll start with that question this morning.
I'll go. Just a simple thing, but we taught our second and third graders how to use slides early in the year, and now they do it all the time. And so anything that they do, they say, "Can we make a slide deck first? Can we use a slide deck?" They hate to organize writing on paper, but they love to use slides. So it's a great organizing tool for the kids. And a lot of the work that they've been turning in to me during NTI has been on slide decks.
Good morning, everybody. This is Kelsey Berryman. I'm sorry, I was emailing. We were supposed to have a beautiful student on here with us this morning, and she's having, or we're all having, technical issues. But something that she and I, when we were talking about this yesterday, talked about was it's been really powerful the way that collaboration hasn't stopped, even though we're all in different homes and we're all in isolation. It's really great that we were able to still meet in small groups and use Google Meet to work through some of the projects and things they've been doing. So it may have slowed us down a little bit, but technology is really making sure that we don't lose momentum on the work we were already doing in our classrooms.
I'll go. I'm Chrissy Lynch from OKH, and before the NTI days, one of our social studies teachers, Miss Essex, has been using Classcraft for her social studies, and it's kind of like World of Warcraft, and the kids really get into that technology. And then I second Kelsey with the connection and the collaboration that we get to have now with our Google Meets and seeing our kids every single day.
I feel like we need to have, how like when podcasts have like the show notes, we need to have we need to start collecting some show notes to put some resources available for people. So I'm not used Classcraft, but I'm sure Miss Essex does a nice job with that. What are some other things? What about from our student over there? What are some ways that you've seen your school use technology over the past few weeks that you really appreciate or like?
We use Google Meets every morning so that we can meet with our class to see what we're going to do for our work and to see what we're doing.
You enjoy that? Is that something that's been helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Anything else out there that you guys are thinking around, like how we're leveraging technology in the classroom? We know we have meets and hangouts and some other tools. What are, it's really powerful.
Hi, my name is Alex Martin from Thomas Nelson. Not that I have an additional platform that somebody hasn't already spoke about, but I think it's been super cool to see teachers and leaders thinking about how they can continue to build culture while also having this social distancing aspect, like parades that were happening yesterday. I thought that was super cool. And then also at Thomas Nelson, we're trying to implement like a weekly workout piece where we have somebody logging on and just kind of orchestrating a workout that people can do together. And then yesterday there was a sidewalk chalk competition. So ways in which we're still getting together, but also being in our homes.
We're doing a lot of flip grids at Boston, so that the kids can kind of express themselves. They can answer questions, and then we can reply back to them and things like that. So yesterday in our group faculty meeting, we collected all of our flip grid links that everybody was using and posted them so that we can all kind of go in and check and connect with the kids that way.
And hi, I'm Amanda from New Haven School. One thing that we are going to roll out next week is kind of a calendar showing Monday morning, every Monday morning at 9 a.m. We're going to have someone either playing a game or doing a math lesson on Facebook and on our Instagram. And then in the middle of the day, about 2 o'clock, we're going to have our special area teachers come on and they'll do a video. So we have like Musical Monday and Workout Wednesday. So that'll be every day about 2 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock we're going to do a read aloud for our students, and that'll be broadcasted through our Facebook account. So that's just an idea that we had so that we can have some consistency for our students and our families.
Yeah, one of the comments that I just saw in the chat that I think is really important for us to realize is, 10 years ago, I mean, maybe even 5 years ago, the ability to organize school in some type of constructive, thoughtful way. We probably wouldn't have had the capacity, right? We'd have probably been burning up the copy machines, trying to make packets for everybody, just because the technology hadn't caught up. The use of it. But I think that's been one of the great things that I've saw from us in Nelson County is because of some of the work that was already happening in our schools with Chromebooks and the Google Suite and Flipgrids and some of these other elements that have happened. It's been a transition. Obviously, I wouldn't diminish that, but I think it's also been we've been able to transition fairly quickly because people were already accustomed and used to using some of those things. And I think the infrastructure on the back end has also been, a really nice piece. Is we've got, I think we're at probably 95% plus of our students that have access to technology or have access to the internet. So that obviously creates some additional opportunities for us that we otherwise, wouldn't have been able to engage in. So that's good. Brooke, anything else on the comments?
Well, we have Kevin Mattingly out there. Shout out to Mr. Kevin Mattingly, hanging out with us this morning on YouTube. He said that his facility team is doing a hangout or Google Meet, even though they are working. Sometimes they're the only ones that are actually in the building, and he wants to make sure they are connected. So shout out to reimagining facilities and the way our facilities team is connecting. It's pretty cool stuff. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm doing what it takes over here in Whitlow House land to stay sane, and my kids do their schoolwork. We everybody has sports, and it's like Vivian has my youngest daughter has like a studio apartment is what I call it. Like she has all of this stuff, and I was in there this morning and she has her paintbrush and a canvas, and she has literally painted, "I have a Google Meet at 9 o'clock. Do not forget." And it was just so cute to see my little 8-year-old, like just the importance of those connections and face to face. Like it really does mean something to the little guys out there. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been something powerful as a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. And the other day, my 4-year-old, a preschooler, got to have a Google Meet um, with some of his classmates. He's a compass leader at the ELC, and that was really cool. I couldn't really imagine being the teacher of 4-year-olds, especially on a Google Meet. But it was a really cool experience to get to watch them interact, and that's become a daily touch point that I know my kids are really excited about, and I appreciate the efforts that everyone's making to do it. So I think the question that comes from this that I'd be interested in hearing from you guys is what has this NTI experience kind of forced us to kind of rethink with school in general? Because we know that like this experience, regardless if it lasts for a couple more weeks or however long that it lasts, it's obviously teaching us a lot of things about school, and we would be remiss to not be reflective on what are some things we're learning about the future of school as part of what we're currently experiencing with technology and NTI. So, what are some thoughts around I guess maybe the implications of this and on the future of learning and the future of school?
I think Nick Patterson from Bloomfield Middle School. I think one of the things that we've had to really reimagine and think through is that connectedness piece. I mean, in the article, the Edutopia article, the number 4 thing was just to those touch points are key and they're game changers. I think that through this process, it's really helped us to really think outside the box and just reimagine the different ways that we can connect with students and we can connect with the community and through different people. Because in reality, I mean, teachers are and a lot of people are people persons. So when you put them in some of those isolated situations, how can we still connect and really build those relationships that are key with students so that they can still engage with them, so that they can learn to their potential?
I think another thing is it's really helped us think about what is the purpose of school and why are we even here? What's the reason that we come to school? Um, Handing out a packet of worksheets for kiddos to do when they're not at school really devalues what it means to be a teacher and the role that school plays in our community. And I think us being able to leverage technology throughout this experience so that we're still providing kids with some high quality instruction during this time, I think has really helped us figure out what is the role of the teacher and school in our community.
And for me, like some of our teachers who weren't very tech savvy have had to kind of step out of their comfort zone, and I think this will carry on into the school year next year because they'll be more confident with using technology in their classroom because they've had to. So I think that this is a good thing for them.
Can I hop in and just say like what like rock star you are right now, like having deep conversations with like a baby on your hip, like rocking back and forth and like having intentional conversations. Like y'all need to give Amanda some love this morning. I love it.
Thank you.
I think the I think one of the things that it's taught me is Cheryl, I think you were alluding to this as well. Like what does really matter? We I talked to a principal the other day and they were talking about their school. They've got 85 to 90% of kids that are engaged online in the learning. They've had several days where they've had 100% engagement in Caring Connect, and those are the type of things where I think it's like that stuff really matters. That's the stuff that really matters. We think about school. We know that kids can't sit online for 7 hours during the course of their day doing schoolwork. So if we only have 30 minutes for them to look at math or for them to look at science, like what really matters and how do we synthesize that type of stuff down? I think that's definitely true. So it looks like we have another student maybe that's popped on. Is Berryman, is this yours?
Yes. Miss Tegan, if you want to get on here and introduce yourself? Yes. Hello.
Miss Tegan, what grade are you in?
I'm fourth grade from Cox's Creek.
Awesome. Did you get to see the parade last night?
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't get to see it. Looked like that was pretty cool. We're glad you're here this morning. What are some things that maybe you've been learning about or thinking about with school since you've been home with NTI?
I've been thinking about how flexible school is. Like they put this together really quickly, and that's really good.
Yeah. Do you enjoy kind of? I know you probably want to see your friends at school, but do you like kind of the different ways that you're engaging with people?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us this morning. Feel free anytime that you want to hop in. Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll transition a little bit to the question around the podcast was really around this idea of classroom design and the impact of classroom design on learning. And I think it's probably just as important as part of this conversation, because if we believe that only in a classroom a kid can learn, then we've wasted 2 weeks of school, right? Like that's obviously not true, right? There's lots of mechanisms that kids can learn in. And so think about this idea of classroom design and how we really leverage that towards the kind of instructional goals that we have. So, what are some things that you guys have seen this year? And this is probably not just in these 2 weeks, but you've seen it as far as classrooms and how teachers maybe use their classrooms that have been really cool experience for kids.
I work a lot with Jenny Kidwell in STEM, and then we do a lot just in the space of the library and just making available a lot of stuff, um, which was kind of mentioned in the podcast. Just I like how she said to think of it as a learning studio, and just the term brings about a lot of creative energy. And so just having available stuff makes such a difference. And we were working on creating stuff the week before we were out. So we have all this stuff still sitting there. It's kind of sad when you walk in there and see all their work just sitting there.
And I think with our ag classes, we've got ag in middle school, and these kids were getting out and they were building a garden. They were building the raised beds. They were moving our patio rock around, and it was really getting the kids involved and in the dirt and outside. And so they rethinking our classroom space, where we teach, what we can do, where we are. And I think that's given us. I think we're rethinking our space right now with some of our teachers and. Well, all of our teachers, but some of our teachers who were constrained to those 4 classroom walls, they've got this freedom that they've never had before, I think.
In the podcast, the speaker talked a lot about creating a collaboration space, creating a place where kids can think out loud and their voice can be heard. And we're seeing that a lot in our classrooms. Tegan can probably talk to this a little bit. Some of our teachers are actually allowing students to design the classroom space. They're submitting proposals and looking at purchase orders and finding items online. Tegan, do you want to share a little bit about how you're redesigning your classroom?
Redesigning my classroom, well, it's more home friendly, it's more home like, it's relaxing, and it's more colorful.
That's awesome.
I think also when you talk about these things and like redesigning these spaces and reimagining what this is beyond those 4 walls, you also connect it back to last week's conversation. It really gives those students like a real meaning and a real purpose in what they're doing, which provides for them that sense of really that purpose of why what school is.
Miss Ava, you can hop in here for a second. Do you feel like the way that a classroom looks and feels? Do you think that matters a lot to the school and how you learn?
Yeah, I think it does because it can feel more like home and then you feel more comfortable learning in your classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something we forget sometimes. Like we sometimes you have to go to a different space to do really creative work, um, and that feeling of um, the opportunity to do that, I think, is really important. Absolutely. Anything else that you guys have been thinking about with space and design classrooms?
Well, I think, as far as NTI goes, maybe not so much the physical space, but the way that we interact is also part of that space. Like us coming together on a Google Meet or on a Google Hangout so that everybody can see each other and everybody can interact is just as much a design of the space as it is to design a classroom. And I think, over these next few weeks, it's going to be really important to think about how we interact with each other to make those opportunities happen. Like our backpack classroom, Ava, you could probably speak to this too. It is not the most beautiful place in the world. It's kind of just a place where we meet, but it is set up so that we are all sitting around a table and everybody can see each other, and we can interact with each other in that way. It's kind of like a blank slate. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to take the last couple minutes, and this is really a big question. And I would love to hear some people in the chat chime into this because I think we probably all have an answer to it. And this was the question that I threw out on the um, in the blog post yesterday. But we think about what are some traditional assumptions about school um, that we really have to rethink or reconsider after we've gone after now that we're experiencing this NTI conversation. What are some things that we've long held about school that's like the sacred cow that maybe it's like maybe that's not as important or this is really important. We've seen this over the course of these few weeks.
I'd have to say, first of all, just letting go. And even though students are not in the school building and they're at home, you would think it would be easier to let go. But I feel like it's even maybe a little harder because we feel like they're not right here with us. So we got to be sure that they have the right thing to do when they're at home and to not waste this time. And so I feel like letting go is probably still the biggest stumbling block.
Amy, I agree so much. When we think about, I feel like when we before this, school is very almost rigid. Like we have this is the schedule we have to follow, and this is what we need to do. And with this, it's made it a little bit more free flowing. Like, okay, today we're gonna log on and talk about math, but then while we're there, we're also talking about writing and reading. Tegan, I know that you've actually spoken to this a couple times in our class. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Um, I think that we should have maybe some more color because when you're at home, it's like all personalized. You can have whatever you want. And then at school, it's blue and white in the hallways, like everywhere. And I think like maybe add some paintings, some pictures.
I love it. I think it is like how do you make school feel more like home? What does that look like for schools to engage in that conversation? Absolutely. There's some other maybe assumptions that we've had around school that we're forced to kind of reconsider during this time.
Now, I think we all understand the importance of ratio and really having students, in the classroom space. The students do the work in relation to the teacher doing the work. But still, even knowing that, I think a vast majority of the time it's safe for the teacher to continue talking. And so they still carry the bulk of the workload. But really working from this system, that's impossible, really. So the ratio is definitely pushed more where the students are doing more of the work just because of the situation that's been created. So again, I think it kind of goes along with that letting go and being okay with letting them run with it, because that's the hand we're dealt this time.
Yeah.
There's
Any other last thoughts from somebody?
well, I was going to chime in with some of the comments happening out there in comment world on YouTube. Some really great conversations happening. The Irvinator apparently is out there on the chat today. It's Amber Irvin, for those of you who don't get the joke. I don't really understand the joke either, but that's what they were calling her a couple days ago. She says traditional equals sit and get for 7 hours. We are definitely reimagining possibilities right now. Michelle Hendricks says connection and relationships. We really figure out what's most important. Research has told us this for years, but we're really finding it out firsthand right now. Let's see. We have TJ Metcalf popping in from BMS. Agreeing with Amber. He said, yes, rigid schedules. We're doing what we're doing now in 30-minute meets, what we could do in 60-minute periods. Where's the disconnect? Haley Victory. We know that realistically we cannot fit 7 hours of instruction into this format. We have had to think about what experiences matter most: caretaking, passions and gifts, and reading and writing. So some really good thoughts and conversations happening out there on that question.
Awesome. Well, I know everyone, we try to keep it to 9 o'clock because I know that everybody starts getting involved in some other things that you have going on for the day. But I appreciate you guys popping in, Ava, Tegan. I appreciate you guys being part of this conversation. And excuse me, it's always better when we have student voice in the room. So thank you guys. Thank you to everyone else that's on YouTube for bearing with us today through some technical difficulties. We appreciate it, and you all have a great day, and please have a restful weekend. Those are, I think, even more important when we are engaged in this type of work. So thank you guys for what you're doing.
And we will catch you guys back on Monday morning at 8:30 here on the Community Brew. Stay tuned. We will have our lineup ready for you guys hopefully in the next few hours, so you'll know kind of what's going on next week and can set your reminders. So you'll have an amazing weekend, an amazing day, and we will see you Monday morning.
See you guys.